Om Sadasivasmarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam Gurur Brahma Gurur Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheswara Guru Sakshat Param Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Phunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahi Tejasvinavadhitamastu Mahavidyushavahī. Om Shant Shant Shanti. Shri Gurum Paramanandam Vande Swananda Vigraham Yasya Sanidhyamatrena Chidanandayate Tanuh. In the last class, we saw Ajapa Nama Gayatri Yogina Mukshalaini Asyaha Sankalpa Matrena Sarva Papeihi Pramuchyate. Verse number 43. So when a person is following certain principles, discipline, generally that is also reflected in some cultural practices, which we have been watching in our Purana classes. Because the discipline becomes part of life when I follow culture. Here, when we talk culture, especially in this context, as you know, present day global culture is nothing but called social culture. But the cultural practices must be supported by or designed by the knowledge, not by missionaries or mission. It should be created, designed by visionaries or with a vision. So when any cultural practices is being designed and of course later on imposed by missionaries or with a mission, with a purpose, sometime or other, people will start revolting, people will start rebelling. This rebellious attitude happens because of that reason, nothing else. So here, in order to understand Ajapa Gayatri, first let me do Gayatri Japa. This is the conclusion, nothing else. Then only I should also do Sankalpa. So Sankalpa means whatever I decide, at least till the puja, till the japa, let me not divert my mind because I decided to do 108 times japa. Let me do 108 times at least. I have done sankalpa to do puja. Let me complete. If telephone rings or somebody calls, you can show the hand. Unless, remember, somebody is gasping for breath. I remember, I think I have shared this incident with you people many times. So there was a doctor in Chennai. We were very, let us say, thick friends than anything. And he was ENT. And he had a big name. Like, MS Subalakshmi was his client. Imagine. So one day I called him. First, I tried to reach him through his cell phone. He did not pick up. Through his office said maybe in the home. I made a mistake. I called home. And of course, I got good discourse. So I picked up Imagine if you are looking for him, what about me? Anyway, meanwhile, when I managed to speak to him, because the message reached all the way to him, so he called me back. I said, "What sort of doctor you are? You are not supposed to switch off for all these things. You should be available for emergency." He said, "Me being ENT doctor, there is nothing called emergency. Generally, people consider when a person is gasping for breath, that is called emergency. Now, me being ENT doctor, that also I understand that is not emergency. Do you know why? If a person is gasping for breath and I don't have tools, it has no value. So, in my language, there is nothing called emergency. All emergency is just created in human being, human mind. In fact, he left his body in the airport. It was very sad, but he left just like that. Coming back. So, when you have done sankalpa to do something, whatever happens, you can show the hand, continue. But what happens? Mind wants some diversion and mind wants some excuse, and anything happens, we just get out because of lack of priority. Because in my life, whatever I do, it is completely based on my priority. Continue. Anaya sadrushi vidya. Anaya sadrusho japa. Anaya sadrusham jnanam. Na bhutam na bhavishyati. See, look, this Ajapa Gayatri means being aware of your breathing. And you are breathing 21,600 times. Each breathing time, Ham Sah Sah mantra is continuing. So this knowledge is something, there is no better knowledge in this world. There is no better knowledge equal to this knowledge in this world. This is the ultimate. And not only that, says also, japa, you may do any japa. This is the ultimate japa. There is no better japa either. You cannot compare. There is no comparison at all. And of course, jnanam also, same thing. And interestingly says, na bhutam, na bhavishyati. Neither it was there in the past, nor there will be some other thing. Means this is the key. And when this is there, one is really supposed to look at. And why? So he introduces this Kundalini here. Before going to Kundalini, I would like to say very carefully being this yogic text. I remember Swami Ananda Saraswati, who was known as a flying Swami. In fact, he is one of the Swami who made Swami Sivananji Maharaj popular in the West. Then later on, Venkatasananji Maharaj, Satyananda schools, Swami Satyananda, who we did in India, Bihar schools of yoga, and many other Swami tried to follow. And finally, Swami Siddhananji Maharaj, who became head of Sivananda Organization, Divine Life Society. They spread or continue to spread Sivananji's work. In fact, Swami Vishnu, they call us Swami Vishnu in short. because he was having a aircraft. He used to drive, he used to fly his craft. In fact, he said, one nation, one passport, something he said. And he landed in many countries without any visa, without any passport, anything. So they will, detain him. Then finally he get the clearance, again he will go. So he did a lot of things because he was, said, this is the peace message. How? Coming to the point, one good thing, because he wrote a book those days called Complete Illustrated Book on Yoga. This fat book. In fact, that book was a bestseller book for many years. And any book becomes bestseller, especially in USA, that person becomes hero. So you don't have to do anything. Till now also, that trend is continuing. Nowadays, instead of books, this social media, okay? If your video becomes viral, so you become a hero. So there's the difference now, okay? However, this Swami was asked, this is the most important point, about Kundalini. And he was such a big person. They have ashrams all over the world. And what is Kundalini? He used this word very carefully to the public. Kundalini is a hook that we use to attract people to come to yoga. As ad agency use the hook to keep the attention in any advertisement. Very brilliant answer that he had given. Again, I'm repeating. We use Kundalini as a hook to attract yoga people to practice yoga, as ad agency use a hook, a point, to see the advertisement. If we try to see that language, I would like to say, it is not that there is no Kundalini. But what people talk about Kundalini, it is more hallucination, more projection than the reality. In yoga literature, including Vedic literature, also there is Kundalini. In Ganapati Atharvashisham, also Kundalini word comes. So we don't dismiss Kundalini at all. But the way people talk about Kundalini, we people have some problem, especially Vedantians. So then what they do is they completely dismiss. So dismissing Kundalini also not right. Accepting Kundalini the way people are talking also is not right. So Kundalini, in short, it is a coil where your energy is in dormant. So that means that when the energy is not used, is not made it active, that is what we call Kundalini. And he says, let us read this thing so that it becomes easier. Kundalinyam sabuddhuta Gayatri pranadharini pranavidya mahavidya yastham veti savedavite. He says, look, this Kundalinyam, from Kundalini. So where is Kundalini? We'll discuss, okay? Hold on. So from Kundalini, samudbhuta. So what does it arise? From it arises Gayatri, Ajapa Gayatri. So from Kundalini, hold on as it is. Ajapa Gayatri means that breathing. That's why we say breathing is one thing, understanding urge to breathe is another thing. This is secret in yoga. You are supposed to do pranayama to understand urge to breathe. Why and how you have an urge to breathe. And once you understand why and how you have an urge to breathe, then what is to be done? Prolong that urge. Is it clear? It's like a hunger. So if you're not breathing understood, hunger will be able to understand easily. That sometimes you don't feel, your body does not need food. You are not hungry. But sometimes do you feel hungry or not? Especially when you travel jet lag. Everybody during flying time, they eat a lot. So neither they belong to this country nor that country. You understand? So keep eating, eating, and eating. Okay. That's why I love one thing during flying time. If you don't sit, if you get a bed to sleep, nothing like that. Sleep so that you don't engross yourself in the food. That's the only advantage. How? So there is a beautiful point to observe that my hunger means real hunger, that body needs food and urge to eat. Most of the time, I have an urge to eat. And when I have an urge to eat, I keep eating. So people become fat because they are not able to understand the urge to eat. And once you understand there is an urge to eat, even if mechanically, please understand it, as body does not need, you can drink some water. You need to divert. If nothing happens, have some, one fruit just to change the mind. And it works beautiful. So how this works? Same thing also, need of breathing and urge to breathe. There is big difference. The real yoga starts, or you can say pranayama starts, when you understand the difference between need to breathe and urge to breathe. And if you observe that need to breathe is much, much less than urge to breathe. But we all see that urge to breathe is equal to need to breathe. And when we don't see the difference, then what happens? We breathe. And suppose we cannot breathe, then we get into panic. So many times this panic attack happens because of this reason only, nothing else. That's another topic. Let me not get into that more. So here it says, this from Kundalini, Gayatri, and that too Ajapa Gayatri is born or arises. And that which is called Prana Dharini happens to be the sustainer of prana. And that is called Prana Vidya. That is called Mahavidya. So another name of this Ajapa Gayatri is Prana Vidya or Mahavidya. Yastam Veti Saveda Vidya. So whoever knows this, indeed, that person is the knower of the Vedas. Continue. Kandvardhe Kundali Shakti अष्टधा कुंडलाकृति ब्रह्मद्वार मुखम नित्यम मुखेन आच्छाद्य तिष्ठति. Now question may arise. Okay, where is that kundalini? So he gives, it's very simple. You don't have to. He says it is just kanda urdhva, kando adhe, just above the kanda. So kanda is a very nice. Kanda is like a root. So any, for example, like carrot, or you can say this beetroot. So these sort of things we call as kanda. So it is a like root format, like towards up it becomes bigger, towards down becomes small. So this is the point called kanda urdhva, this kanda. So where is it? He says kundalini sakti. So there is kundalini sakti. Now question may arise, where is that? That kanda urdhva, kanda. I hope you know this, okay? Because we have talked. It is just below Manipuraka. Okay? So this kanda, that's why long back I had told you are not supposed to expose neither your navel nor below the navel region. It is supposed to be covered, it is supposed to be protected. However, it is just below Manipur. So that is the place of prana, because there the individual prana and all nadis are joined. And this is in the form of, very nicely, he uses this word, Ashtadha Kundalakruti. So all these nadis are in a coil form, because that is the place from where everything is connected. It is in the 8 coils. So there are 8 numbers of coils. And in fact, in some other place, it will be talking that this looks like, if you do this lotus, what do you call, stem cutting dissection, how it looks. So also this coil kundali, that there looks alike. So we have a lot of descriptions regarding this. Now he says, look, when a person understands this much, that the kundalini means where all my nadis are joined together, or from there all the nadis starts moving, both way you can take. And that is just below my navel region. And that is what is called as kanda. That's why, especially Vaishnavites, when they do chandanam, so you might have observed, also one chandanam will be done on navel region. Amazing things to be done. However, here, when you look at that, Brahmadwara mukham nityam mukhyena achadya tishtati. Now the problem here is, it is not open. Mukhyena achadya tishtati. The mouth is covered. So the mouth is supposed to be facing towards Brahmadwara. So Brahmadwara is nothing called Brahmarandhra. So Brahmarandhra means on Sahasrara, especially if you look at, observe a child, newborn baby, on the head, you'll see, skull. So that is called Brahmarandhra. In fact, prana is supposed to live through that. In fact, the secret of pranayama is one is supposed to breathe, inhale through Brahmarandhra and exhale through anus. In fact, that is being seen in Siddha tradition. There are many cases. And amazing thing to observe there also. In fact, if a person starts breathing through Brahmarandhra, if you put that person anywhere inside this, covered place, samadhi or whatever, the person can be alive 1,000 years. Absolutely no problem. You can observe this point, how the tortoise breathe. Leech breathe. There are many creatures, they breathe underneath the soil. That 2 years together. And here he says that unfortunately, this mouth is closed. And when mouth is closed, then what happens? Now, my energy is not activated. It is exactly a child full of energetic, and you control, you close the door. What the child will do? Will create a mess in the house or not? Simple. Same thing also. I have this energy here. The mouth is closed. Then all sort of disalignment in my body, will it happen or not? Not only body, also mind. So all my disease, all my problem, that happens because of this reason too. Continue. Ena dvarena gantavyam brahmagaram anamayam mukhena achatya tadvaram prasupta parameshwari. Since, interestingly, every dwara, every gate is protected by date. That's why if you observe, especially in India, every door, including your house door, has a date. That's why the day you make the frame of the entrance, you have to find out a good day, and a lot of puja has to be done, not simply you fix it. And on any special day, you do some puja to that. And of course, temple much more. That's why in Vishnu temple, Jaya Vijaya, in different temple, different deities are the security. So you make sure your main entrance is protected, so that evil eyes cannot enter. The amazing thing happens. How we protect in different layers. So here he says that this Dwaram also has its presiding deity that is called Parameshwari and which is none other than Kundalini Shakti. But problem is not awake in a sleeping state. Do whatever you want. And because of that reason, he says, look, येन द्वारेण गंतव्यम ब्रह्म आगार अनामयम इति. So that means actually the Dwara, the Parameswari is presiding, is Dwara that which is free from all afflictions, that which will lead to Brahmaloka. In fact, I would like to say something very nicely. In Purana comes. This way, how this then Purana knowledge becomes handy when you look at all these connections. The Rishi Angiras, wanted to be Prajapati, wanted to be appointed as Prajapati. Prajapati means the king. In fact, Daksha and Angiras, both of them contested. And meanwhile, Daksha became Prajapati. So Angiras could not get the chance because he was arrogant. He had a lot of knowledge. In fact, he had better knowledge, but he was having arrogance. And finally, Daksha was appointed as Prajapati. Meanwhile, this is contextually I can bring this point. Angiras always considered Daksha as enemy. That because of him, I could not get this chance. It continued. And he had one son called Satavisha. In fact, he was not allowed to go to Brahmaloka. So he was denied. This is the point I would like to say. But the Rishis had direct access to Brahmaloka anytime they can go. So he was not allowed. He was rejected. And Angirasa goes to meet Brahmaji in Brahmaloka and ask this question. You have done partiality with me. The first partiality you did, that you did not make me, you did not support me being Prajapati, the governor of this whole universe, present universe. I tolerated. Now, tell me why my son also is not allowed to come to Brahmaloka. Is it right? That time Brahmaji said very nicely, yes, it is right. He will not be allowed to come. Because he has negative thinking. Until and unless he grows out of negative thinking, he will not be allowed to come to Brahmaloka at all. In this regard, better you go back and talk to Daksha and take decision. So contextually, it's an amazing point to observe. So same thing also here Brahmaloka. So this is Brahmadwara, Brahmaloka. So you can see there how they picturize through stories, through incidents in Purana. And when you look at the same thing here in Yoga Shastra in abstract form. Whereas if you don't compare these two together, you say, oh, these are the stories, fancies, something wrong with these people. They support one, does not support, God knows what is all about it. Anyway, no problem. So here, with this, I'll stop it. Interestingly, that Brahmaloka to go, this path is important. That's why we pray, let my prana live through this. If not, at least let it live from any of this, not below. And of course, he says, the next verse, very good verse. When you are looking at Kundalini, you need to take care of few things together. That he highlights. There you need tapas, you need pranayam, also you need maturity. Then only this Kundalini will be balanced, or else it's a disaster. How and why? We'll see tomorrow. Om Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Thank you, all of you.